Hello, I'm David Hunt. I'm a broadcaster and man about town. That's Melbourne town.
I'm Robert King. I'm a broadcaster and writer.
Robert, your background is a teacher, and you went off and had a bar, a mostly gay bar in Bali. Then when you came back, you got involved in teaching again. You were working with universities, teaching the teachers that were coming out of university how to teach.
Yes.
What was that like?
Oh, that was great.
Would it have been very different to teaching in a classroom?
Yeah, very different. I think, as you get older, I prefer to teach older people.
Yep.
I got a little bit sick of adolescents and their issues.
Right. Yep.
And much preferred to teach the student teachers.
Yep.
And help them, become teachers.
Right. Now, VAC rears its head here as well for you. What did you do for them?
I worked at VAC as a volunteer at one stage. Incidentally, my very best friend was the first manager or CEO of VAC called Keith Harbour.
Oh, yep.
And I'm sure viewers will remember that.
Yep.
In fact, they still have the Keith Harbour Memorial Lecture down there. Anyway, I was in the what's called VAC Train, which is a training group for VAC. And our job was mainly to write modules for the staff, things on how to run meetings, how to work in a team, strategic planning, I remember we did, and another couple. And we also delivered workshops to the staff as well.
And was it rewarding being part of VAC?
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it would have been in the days when they were really building up to the powerhouse that they are now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, they certainly were.
And you would have seen some pretty horrible situations as well.
Yeah. Although I wasn't actually directly involved with the counselling side of it, but I know they had a lot of counsellors there, and they had phone lines and so on.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're a writer as well. I'm seeing a couple of your books here next to me. When did the writing bug happen?
Well, being a teacher, I spent a lot of my time criticising kids' writing.
With their essays?
Yes, which is what you do. So one day I thought, well, I've criticised kids long enough. I'll see if I can do it myself. And so I started writing. When I first started writing, I preferred writing poetry. And then I started writing short things, which most writers do.
Yep.
Until I finally worked up to a couple of novels. And at the moment I'm in a writing group. I didn't bring that book along, but this writing group had something published as well. It was all sorts of stories and poems about Melbourne.
Your first book, one of them, was called The Wheeler Signs.
Yeah.
Tell us, what does the Wheeler sign mean?
Well, you remember in the other program I talked about having shock treatment.
Yep.
One of the other things they did was to give me these, now I'm not sure how many people will remember, the Rorschach ink blots. I know you do, David. Yep. They're basically, Rorschach was a guy who invented these ink blots, and they were sort of funny shapes on paper.
And you didn't know what they were?
No.
Yeah, most of them looked like a butterfly.
Yeah, that's right.
There was more than.
All sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And you were meant to read into them. Whatever you could.
Right.
And while I was talking about what I could see in the ink blots, the psychologist was writing everything down.
Right.
And apparently, if you saw a sign in the ink blots
Yeah.
of a certain, I don't know what it was, an animal or whatever, they were called Wheeler signs. And they were signs that you were gay.
Okay.
You don't look as though you believe that.
No. So you decided to call your first book that?
The Wheeler sign.
And was it about?
It was an autobiography.
Right, okay.
Right, mainly about my life and what it was like. It was a coming out book, really.
Right, and great that you've actually put it in writing. Now, the writers group, how often do you meet and how do you contribute with each other?
Once a month.
Yep.
We meet at the oldest library in Melbourne, the Athenaeum.
Yep.
And what we do is we submit pieces of work and we actually do a critique of each other's work.
Yep. You've been involved in quite a few other groups as well. Men for Dinner.
Yes.
What's Men for Dinner?
Men for Dinner's a social group of gay men.
Yep.
They go out for dinner every 2 weeks to a different restaurant.
Yep.
And just basically have a meal and a chat and so on. It's quite simple.
Table tennis?
So this is my latest venture. I've discovered a table tennis group called Melbourne Veterans.
How old do you have to be part of it?
Well, I learnt on Friday night that you have to be at least 30.
Oh, well, it's not all that veteran.
No. When I went there, I think I told you, the first person I met was 80 years old. They put you in a team with one other person.
Yep.
My first partner was 92.
Wow.
And the last partner I had in the last tournament was 86.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Fantastically inspirational.
Yeah. And why are these older people playing?
Oh, well, I think exercise is pretty important for older people. And I had seen a documentary on table tennis and older people, and the health benefits are just enormous.
Like what?
Like flexibility, eye-hand coordination,
Yeah.
and of course the brain.
So it'd help with stopping a bit of dementia.
I would think so.
Setting in.
Yeah.
A few years back, you got involved with Joy 94.9. Yeah. Why did you do that?
I wanted to help in some way. I thought that it was time I gave back to the community. Something that I wanted to do, and of course you go to somewhere like Joy and you realise what a wonderful place it is. I wanted to join that team and be part of it. And I have to say, being on the reception desk as the front of house at Joy was an interesting activity in itself.
Yep.
But then I had been working there for quite a while. Started to read the Joy yearly reports and things, and I found out the music.
You didn't like the music?
Well, it wasn't catering for older people.
Right, okay.
So anyway, to cut a long story short, I got a friend of mine together and we put up a proposal to do music from the 50s, 60s and 70s.
Right, what's it called?
Yesterday Once More.
Who do you do it with?
I do with a friend called Wendy Moss.
Right.
Who's a straight lady, and we've been doing it now this is our 6th year.
Right, okay. So 50s, 60s and 70s music.
With occasional little toe into the 80s.
Thanks, Robert King, for being on the show today. So much information. I'm David Hunt. Thanks for watching, people.